All right, welcome back, everybody. We're gonna do something a little bit different this time. So I always see everybody doing videos from their cars and uh, you know, from their basement or from a bedroom. So this time I wanted to do it from a bike. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is I was on YouTube and I was looking around at everything today, and I was thinking in my head like, man, there's so much information out there, right? You can look up masculinity on YouTube and get thousands of videos about what masculinity is and how you can be more masculine and how you can be more of a man and how you can do this and how you can. And I finally just shut it off for a minute and I thought about it, and I'm like, can you go back in history and grab a time when we were more masculine, when we were more of men back then? Like, is there other people in the past that we could look up to in history, ancient, whatever, that we could look up to and say, that's what masculinity is? Well, again, this is my opinion, right? This is my channel, so I'm obviously going to say what my opinion is. But my opinion on that is that you can go back into history. Obviously, there's a long amount of history, right? But even if you go back 100 years, you could see how different men were back then. There wasn't an issue with suicide and depression, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. What I'm saying is it wasn't an issue in the forefront. Most people were at least mediocrely happy with their lives, and I think that's because you're always trying to find a way to fight through something. I don't know if that makes sense, but struggle and push and that grit, right? It took grit to make it 100 years ago. It took grit to make it 200 years ago. It took grit to make it 1,000 years ago. I've done a lot of research on my own ancestors, right? Some are Celtic and some are Nordic, and some come from northern Europe, so France and things like that, right? I went back and I looked at some of the tribal stuff and the things that they had to go through. One thing that I found is there was always a struggle, right? I'm going to bring up somebody, Nietzsche, who talks about struggle and how good things can come out of a struggle, right? So if you take somebody who hasn't really had a tough life, right? He grew up rich, parents grew up rich, they were able to pass that money down to their son. That son, that man has probably not had to go through a lot because he lived with money and money was handed to him. He didn't really have to go through a lot of struggle and have to create that grit, right? The best way that I could think about it is when you see those kung fu masters, they go out and they punch that tree every day. Punch, punch, punch constantly, right? Till their knuckles bleed. And they wrap it and they keep punching it every single day, whether they're bleeding or not. And eventually what happens is that skin starts to build up, right? To the point of where they go on to punch the tree and nothing happens anymore, right? Some boxers do that, some MMA fighters do that. And I'll cross that over with us nowadays. If you have not went out and punched that tree every day, if you have not struggled, if you have not gone through something or gone through many things that put you through a lot of pain and struggle and issues and starving, or maybe you were on food stamps, or maybe you went to prison, maybe you went to jail, life's going to be hard for you, right? So what I'm trying to say is that if you want to figure out what a man is or what masculinity is, go back and try to meditate on how your ancestors lived. Because That's the closest that needs to be brought back today. That's what we need today. We need stoicism. We need hard work. We need to go to the gym. We need to go into the mountains and push ourselves. We need to do things that make us scared. We need to do things that we fear on purpose. Because the only way to build the toughness and the grit that those men had back then is for us to do things that are going to scathe us a little bit, right? Like you get a scar after you get a cut. Well, if you haven't done anything in life that's been hard for you, you're not gonna build up a toughness. You're not gonna build up a scar to be able to make it through hard things in life, right? There are people that will commit suicide when they go broke. There are people who they can't handle it, man. They'll lose their house, they'll lose everything, and they will commit suicide over it. It's sad. I'm not knocking anybody that does that, but what I'm saying is that then you'll pick a man that maybe he's been through some really tough shit in his life, right? He'll go through that same situation that dude did that committed suicide, and he'll keep his head about him the entire time it's going on. He'll be able to say, you know what? I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna put something together. I'll go and get 2-3 jobs if I have to, and I'll make it work. I'm gonna find a way to make this work and fix it, right? That is masculinity. Masculinity is not what these clowns on the internet are telling you. Masculinity is not what these clowns on YouTube tell you. It's not going out and going to the gym and working out constantly and having big, huge muscles and looking like Wes Watson and talking like a douchebag. That is not what masculinity is. Masculinity is grit. It is that layer on your knuckles from punching that tree every day. That's what masculinity is. That's what makes us tough, right? So if we don't go back and the closest thing that we could find is maybe 100 years ago. I'm not saying it doesn't exist now, but what I'm saying is that if you really want to get down, if you want to get down to the core of what masculinity is, pull away the layers when we had nothing. When we lived off the land and there was no cities and there was no urban areas, there was no grocery stores to get your food at, they had to go hunt for everything. They had to get up and they had to fight to make sure that nobody went in their village and arred their women and hurt their kids. It was a constant, everyday struggle all the time. That is what we're missing. We're missing that. Because now things are so easy. They've made it so, man, you can get up and you can jump in your car and drive to the grocery store and get all the food you want in 15 minutes. It's right there at your fingertips. You can pick up a phone and you can look up a definition of anything, any word you want. Every single person in this world, even if you are the lowest IQ person on the planet, can still get on Google and look something up. We are so coddled and so comfortable and so spoiled that of course we're having a problem trying to figure out what masculinity is. It's lost. We have everything handed to us. You could call Uber Eats and have food delivered to your door. I mean, this is why we're depressed. This is why we feel lost. Because we don't have a struggle anymore. Are there people out there that have it hard? Yes, I'm not trying to negate that. But what I'm saying is that our hard now and their hard 1,000 years ago are two totally different things. And if we're going to try to figure out where masculinity went and what it is, some guy in a $2,000 suit on YouTube's not going to tell you what that is. That's not where you need to get it from. Pick up a book, read Plato, read Marcus Aurelius, read Nietzsche, read a book and figure out what it was like to be like them back then. Take a bag, right? Take a backpack, and fill it full of all the things that you need, and go hiking for a few hours. Get out there and clear your head. Get a bike and ride a bike. If it's something that you're scared of, get on a bike and start riding it. Get rid of that fear, man. Knock it out of yourself. If there's somebody that's been messing with you that you can't stand, and in the back of your mind, you know you don't really want to stand up to them because you don't want the drama. You don't want to have to deal with the repercussions of that person getting really angry with you because you finally told them to stop messing with you. Get up enough balls to go up to that person and tell them how you feel. I mean, do it tactfully. If it's somebody at work, don't, be smart about it. But I'm just saying to find your weaknesses and get rid of them. Get rid of your weaknesses. Get rid of your fears. Get rid of the things that hold you back from doing what you need to do every day. This isn't some motivation TikTok, Instagram thing to try to get 10 trillion views. That's not what I'm doing. I'm telling you from a normal, blue-collar, working man that has gone to work every day and has muscled his way through working out in the 90-degree heat and working my way up to where I'm at. And I'm not saying that I'm higher than anybody or anything, but I've worked really hard to get where I'm at. The only way for you to understand what masculinity is and how to be a man is for you to create grit. Create the scars on your knuckles, but do it up here. This up here. Push yourself so hard that you feel like you're gonna break down and cry. Go out and run until you can't run anymore. When you start feeling like I might sound like David Goggins a little bit, but when you go out there and you start running and you feel like your body just wants to give up, and you feel like you're gonna break down, keep going. Keep going. There is something in your mind, a chemical fusion or a chemical mix that happens in your mind when you push yourself past that threshold. I'm telling you, I've done it many times over and over and over again. In the last 7 years, I've had all this time to be alone. And when I'm alone, I've always envisioned it like me taking a sharpening stone and sharpening a knife. Why is that? Because all the time that I have to think to myself and go through my thoughts and pick the ones that matter and get rid of the ones that don't. Go out and push myself to do something that I would never do before. It took a divorce, and it took losing my job. It took almost being homeless, and all these things over and over and over again to happen for me to finally figure out what the answer was. And the answer is to basically not give a you know what I mean, not give a fuck, right? It's to not let anything bother you. Don't let it get to you. Just let it roll right off your back. Let it go off your back. You lose your job, let it go off your back. Hey, you know what? You were looking for a job when you found that one. Go find another one. Keep pushing, keep finding, keep looking for whatever you need. If you get tired of working the job that you're at, step out there and start a YouTube channel. Don't be afraid of nothing. Don't be afraid of nobody. We got an entire civilization of men who are afraid of their own shadow. Don't let that be you. You don't have to be that way. You don't have to be scared of nothing and nobody. And I'm mainly talking to the youngsters, because the older people that are in my age group, maybe 35, 38 and up, you guys kind of know what I'm talking about already. The more you don't care, the easier life gets. I'm not even shitting you, man. The more that you start looking at situations like, all right, what's the answer? Skip the, oh, fuck, this is bullshit. Skip that and find the answer to it. Because all you're doing in between that is stressing yourself out. That's it. You go get a bottle and you start drinking, now you just screwed up again. And then you're going to wake up the next day and go, man, I shouldn't have done that. You go grab a joint and you smoke a joint, and then you're going to be like, if you're trying to quit, you're going to be like, dang, man, why did I do that? Skip the in-between garbage and just fix the problem. Find the answer and fix it. That is what a man does. So, the whole reason why I wanted to do this video is because I got on YouTube and I was looking at manosphere stuff and masculinity. There's about 20,000 douchebags that'll try to tell you what masculinity is, and who knows what they do when they shut the camera off. I'm going to tell you from my perspective of being homeless, living in my car, in and out of jail as a youngster, in and out of juvenile lockups as a youngster, losing my job multiple times, losing all of my money, my own family turning their back on me and not wanting to talk to me, being abused as a youngster, an alcoholic for 16 years, on drugs for 10. I'm telling you that the answer is here. It's up here. It's not on YouTube. It's not online. It's not with these douchebags. It's not with the red pill community. It's not with the manosphere. It's here, right here, in a book. Find a book. Read a book. Go get out in nature. Put your phone down and go. Go do something. You know what? The biggest thing that I found is go do something that you wanted to do your whole life, but you were scared to do it. Do that. Choose something that, I don't know, maybe you didn't want to parachute or something, or maybe you wanted to jump out of a plane, but you were too scared to go do it. Just go do it. Maybe you were scared to ride a bike because somebody kept telling you, oh, you're going to die if you ride a bike. Go get a bike and ride a bike. Go learn how to ride a bike. Go do those things. You only live one time. And every time you bust through a barrier and do something new that you were afraid of doing before, you're going to notice a difference. There's going to be a massive difference in the way that you feel about yourself and the way that you do things from there on out. So I hope this video helps somebody. I wanted to get out somewhere where I was kind of like out in the open. I wanted to bring the bike because that's just, to me, that was really different. And I see people use their cars all the time, and they're sitting behind the steering wheel and they're recording themselves talking in the car. I don't really ever see anybody talking on a bike. So I hope you guys liked it. If you like this kind of stuff, I could definitely start traveling to different places and doing talks on my bike. You know, let me know down in the comments. So if you like what I'm doing, like, share, subscribe. And if you subscribed, then welcome to the Cordials tribe.